Hey everybody, and today we are going to be working on how to 3D print our train. So by now you should have your full custom train assembly. So this means that you've got your main train here that you drew with all the drawings and your two custom cars that are attached at the back. Okay, so the first step in 3D printing is we have to convert this to something called an STL file. That's a solid file that doesn't have any math or anything behind it. It's just solely the three-dimensional object itself. As you can see down here on your timeline in Fusion, there's a whole bunch of math that goes into keeping this model together and a whole bunch of data. An STL file gets rid of all of that, and essentially it just shows the object as it is with its measurements. So the way we're going to do that is in your assembly file, you're going to click File and then Export. Then we're going to, under the file type, we're going to change it in this list to an STL file. It's down here at the bottom. You have to scroll down. And then we're going to give it a name. We're going to call this, we're going to make it our last name underscore train. And then we're going to click Export. Okay. And it is probably going to take a minute for this to actually export. This job status bar is going to appear, and you're going to get a little loading bar right here, and sometimes it can take a minute to load. So we're going to wait for that to complete, and there we go. Sometimes it takes longer than that. If it gets stuck, just let me know. But now we have our STL file complete. So now we're going to open a program called Ultimaker Cura. So in the Windows program list, scroll down to U in the program list to Ultimaker Cura and open this one up right here with the blue C symbol. That's going to bring us here. Now, if you're opening it for the first time, you're probably going to get a couple opening screens that are like, welcome. Just hit either next or skip if it's available. You don't need to make an account. Just hit skip or next or whatever you need. And then it's going to bring you to this screen. It's going to say add a printer. There are two printers here that are networked. These are our Ultimaker S3s. These are really good printers. These printers are reserved for final prototypes of projects that are complex enough to need dissolvable supports, which I'll talk about later. So don't use these two for the train project. If you want to use these later, just talk to me and I'll give you the okay. But the ones we are going to use are either an Ender 5, an Ender 5 Plus, an Ender 3, or a CR10S. They're all Creality products, or a Prusa printer, actually. So we're going to click on this gray bar here that says Add a Non-Networked Printer. And then we're going to scroll down in the list. The first printers you're going to see are Creality 3D, and the ones we have are the CR10S right here. We also have an Ender 3, we have an Ender 5, and we have an Ender 5 Plus. Okay, so if you don't know which printer you're using, talk to me and I will tell you which one it is, because for the most part, these all have the same settings. All right, unless if you're using the orange and black printers, those printers are Prusas. They're down here under the P section. Prusa 3D, and we have the i3 Mark III Mark 3S. So since we mostly have Crealities, I'm going to stick with those. And I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to go with the Ender 3 because that's what we have the most of. All right. So I'm going to add the Ender 3 and then just hit next. And it'll bring me to this printer. This is the print bed. This is where we actually put stuff. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our STL file. All right, so we're going to hit this file folder, and we're going to navigate to our downloads folder here, and then we're going to double click our train. Now, as you can see, this is way too large. It's also facing the wrong direction. So we're going to click on the train. Also, to rotate the camera, it's the right mouse button, not like in Fusion, which is shift middle mouse. To rotate the camera, it's the right mouse button. All right, so we need to rotate this, and then we need to get it down to size and put it in the correct location. All right, so to rotate it, we're going to click this button here called rotate, and I'm going to click and drag this red arrow until we get it rotated 90 degrees. Now we're going to scale it down. So in the scale section, we're going to scale it to 30% and then press enter. All right. Now we need to get it in the correct location. So I'm going to go to the move tool. I'm going to drag it down. And once I get it in the principal area, it should stick down to the build plate. Now, if for whatever reason your train's at a really wacky angle, just let me know and I can help you fix that. But once we have it to 30% scale and it fits on the build plate, there are a couple settings here that I want everyone to change. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to custom settings here. And there are a few things we're going to change. First is if you want to change the infill, if you have really delicate parts, you can up your infill a little bit more. So if you have something really delicate, you can up your infill percentage to like 20, 25, or 30%. It uses more filament, but it's generally stronger. The material settings we shouldn't need to change. The speed should be fine. Now, supports. Supports are important. We are definitely going to need supports. Also, up here on the right, click these three bars and change settings to all. And then check the generate support box. Okay, and then we can collapse that tab. Then under build plate adhesion, we're going to change skirt to raft. And then we're going to reduce our raft extra margin to 10 millimeters because it doesn't really need to be that far out. But essentially, a raft is a big plate of plastic that this is going to stick to. Then once we have that, we are going to press slice. And this is a slicing software. Essentially what this does is it takes your model and it slices it into like 100 tiny, tiny layers that I can see here if I press preview. And then I zoom in really close, you can see this is actually splitting it up into layers and layers and layers. And this is how a 3D printer operates. It puts down layer of plastic over layer of plastic. That's why this is called a slicing software. So if your train looks like this, you're good. The light blue is the supports. These are the things that support the overhangs. The dark blue is the raft. And then the red and yellow pieces are our train models. Once you're ready for this, come and see me to get an SD card and an adapter for that. Plug it into your computer and then press save to removable drive. And then once you do that, go on over to the printer and print it. And that's it. That's how to use the slicing software.